All right, what's up everybody? This is another video for the Elite Members Video Library. And with this video, I want to do something a little different. A lot of times we have the PowerPoint presentation and we kind of go through something that can maybe seem a little more scripted. I want to talk a little more openly in this video and discuss something that is really a big deal, especially when you first get into trading, and that is pump and dump emails. A lot of the students, and first-time traders that I come in contact with, most of the time they email me asking me about a specific stock and asking me how I think that stock's going to perform. And the vast majority of the time, when I look into that specific stock, I realize that it is a pump and dump stock. It's a stock that is getting promoted by a certain company that is getting compensated to promote that stock. In the vast majority of the time, all the time, I encourage these individuals to stay away. Do not trade that stock. Stay away from it. That's the best thing you could do. So what I wanted to do in this video is kind of talk a little bit about pump and dump emails. I have an example of one of the emails that was sent out a few days ago from a specific pump and dump company. We're going to read through it. We're going to learn about some of the specific things to look for in these emails and talk a little bit about why you should never really trust a buy recommendation from anybody without you yourself going through and doing the technical analysis. Even what I tell you on the watch lists, I still want you yourself to go through, analyze the chart, and see what you think from what you've learned. Okay, in this trading game, there are people out there who are looking to promote companies to make money for themselves and hose you in the long run. So you need to be prepared yourself to be able to analyze charts and make smart decisions. So with that said, a little background with pump and dumps. The vast majority of traders end up at one point or another getting involved in pump and dumps, and 99.9999% of them lose a lot of their money. I myself lost thousands and thousands of dollars trading pump and dumps when I first started trading. And what it really comes down to is we talk a lot about emotions. Emotions is the emotions of an individual are a huge aspect in trading, especially when you first get started. We're incredibly emotional creatures, and when you let that take over your trading, it can be incredibly detrimental. So when most of us started trading, the vast majority of you, when you started trading, you had one goal in mind, and that was really, if we're being honest, to get rich. Okay, I know a lot of you may say that's not true, but deep down, the real motivating factor behind trading was to make money. Whether it was you weren't satisfied with the job you had, the boss you had, you were sick and tired of working a 9 to 5, whatever it is, you were tired of not being able to pay the bills on time, whatever it may be, we've all been there. And that's really the reason a lot of people started trading. They want to make that money and they want to get rich. Now, if I were to come to you and say, you know what? The average increase for most hedge funds a year will range anywhere from 6 to 15%. So if you had a $5,000 account and I were to come to you and say, hey, you know what? You're most likely going to increase from $5,000 to $5,750 by the end of a year from when you start. How many of you would really say, okay, let's go ahead and do that? A $750 increase over a year. Not many people would say that. Even though that's a respectable 15% increase in your overall account size in that year, most people would say, nah, no thanks. How about if I came to you and made a promise that said, you know what? You can take that $5,000 and increase it 5,000% in a couple months. So you can take it from $5,000 to $250,000. How many of you then would say, all right, sign me up? The truth is, most of you would, and most of us did when we first started trading, myself included. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. We're all really getting thrown under the bus here because we've all been there. So we need to make sure, especially for those of you that are new, that we understand, one, we never trade a stock unless we ourselves go through, we do our due diligence, and we study the chart and know exactly what's going on. Two, whenever we receive an email promoting a specific company, we always read the disclaimer. By law, these companies have to show in the disclaimer that they send in their email how much money they are getting paid to promote the specific company. So if you can do those two things, you will prevent yourself from getting taken advantage of by these pump and dump emails. Okay, now that I've ranted a little bit, let's jump into an example. And I went ahead and just made it in a Word document here. Copy pasted the email right into a Word document. The symbol that they were promoting is EZRT, and they always start off with a nice a news situation. They say that specific company just received some great news. With this one, that it's has a new advertising and revenue share agreement with Aircom Audio Incorporated. And then they kind of try to personalize it. Good morning. They go into it. They break it down. This has changed a little bit from a few years past. A few years ago, they literally would just send you a symbol and expect you to trade it, and most people, like myself, unfortunately, were dumb enough to do so. They've now changed that. They have incredibly long, detailed emails where they go over technical analysis. They always like to mention the market share amount. Okay, in this specific one, they mention how the gaming industry has over a $1.2 billion market size. And they don't really tell you that, there's a lot of industries that have huge market sizes. Just because one little company comes in doesn't mean it's going to capture any of that. But with that said, with this one, when you go through it, you see a lot of stuff about how this company is just primed to take off. It's trading around 10 cents, and it has a 12-month, 26-cent high that it could easily hit a real opportunity, and how it's really a bottom trade. It's bottomed out, it's a good company, and it's ready to reverse. They even go on, and this, as a technical trader, this will be something that'll kind of make you laugh. They go on and they break down the technicals of this stock. Okay, they talk about the must-see technicals. It has a RSI trading sub 30. And when a play is this oversold, it has the potential to bounce high. Let's go ahead and jump and look at the technicals ourselves real quick. There's the chart for you. Does that look like a pretty chart to you? Okay, we see over here, first off, there's no volume. Absolutely none. Hardly any volume at all for a stock. 245,000 shares, but for a stock that's trading at 14 cents is tiny. Absolutely tiny. We look back here. Let's look at the indicators. This is where they started promoting it back here around the 29th. Okay, back in this area. Are they right about the indicators? Sure. The RSI is bottomed out. The MACD's somewhat bottomed out. The money flow index has essentially died and just started moving sideways. And so has the slow stow. When you're trading stocks that have zero volume, essentially dollar volume, you're going to see indicators that are like this. They either move straight up and then flatline or move straight down and flatline. That's why we don't trade sub pennies. You cannot trust indicators 99% of the time when it comes to sub pennies. So for them to even point to these indicators is kind of laughable. And they'll do it in almost every email because the majority of companies they promote are sub penny stocks that are falling fast. And so the indicators are bottomed out. And so let's look at the price movement, okay? This is what happens the majority of time with these pump and dumps. Let me show you here. See this? We went all the way from about 13 cents down to 2 cents at one point, and it's since rallied to 3 cents, okay? They get crushed. They get absolutely crushed. Now, every once in a while, you'll see a situation where a specific stock gets promoted by, a fairly large pump and dump email group, and it'll run a good 30-40%, 10 minutes into the trading day, and then it usually ends up collapsing past the open point and falls 30+%. So the really only way you could have made money was if you bought that specific stock the days before. And how would you have known to buy that stock if you didn't know it was going to be pumped? Well, the reality is the people that send out these emails, they know the stock's going to get pumped. They buy it in advance, and then they promote it and push it, and all of a sudden, they sell as it runs up, and they hose you on the way down as it collapses. So this is a common pattern you see here with pump and dump. Sometimes you'll see a little pop, but generally they end up collapsing big time and falling dramatically. So another thing I want you to point out, we talked about two things. First, the technicals. We looked at the technicals of this stock. If you're being exact, sure, they're bottomed out, but they're pretty much dead. They're flatline. There's no volume in this trade. The reason they're so bottomed out is because this company is trash and has been falling significantly. The next thing you want to look at, scroll to the very, very bottom of the email. There will always be this important disclaimer at the very bottom of each email, and it's fairly long, a lot of legal stuff. A lot of good companies will have disclaimers as well, where they have to put, you can't hold us responsible for stocks we tell you to buy and blah, 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 which most company, even if they're reputable, will put that, and that's fine. But what these ones put is a few other things that are key to understand. At the very beginning, right here, this newsletter is a paid advertisement. Remember how we talked about compensation? They get paid to promote this stock. If you go on a little bit further, our business model is to be financially compensated to market and promote small public companies. Again, they get paid to promote this company. They didn't just come upon this stock one day and think, wow, the opportunity with this 0.003 stock is huge. Let me go ahead and send this out to people just to be a generous person. No, they're getting paid on the back end to promote this specific stock. If we go down a little further, a lot of legal lingo going on, and then you see down here, Stellar Media's business model is to receive financial compensation to promote public companies. We are expected, they left off the we are, to be compensated $15,000 cash via bank wire by a third party. Red Tie Financial LLC conduct investor relations, advertising, and marketing for EZRT. So they've been paid $15,000 cash to conduct marketing for this EZRT company. This compensation is a major conflict of interest in our ability to be unbiased. Okay? In our ability to be unbiased. And they end up going on. It essentially repeats a lot of what we just went over. So, how could this specific company truly feel confident in this stock if they're getting paid to promote it? Okay, they didn't just come across EZRT one day and say, hey, you know what? This is going to be a really good setup. I feel like this is going to run good. Everything looks great. Let me send this out to my subscribers. No, a company came to them, and most of the time said, hey, we own this stock. Can you promote this for us? And they say, okay, and they pay them, and they promote it. Those people that owned it sell it on the way up, and then everyone gets crushed. And now $15,000 is a fairly small amount. The individual I actually just spoke to today who was discussing a specific stock he was looking at, it had been promoted $1 million. Okay, $1 million promotion to pump that stock. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of times with these pump and dumps, they can see massive runs. They can see huge runs because they send them out to email lists with over, 30,000 people on there that just blindly buy. They see massive run up, 100, 200%, and then they just come crashing down and everyone gets crushed. So even though, 1 or 2 times out of 10, these stocks are going to see massive runs, 8 or 9 times, you're going to end up getting crushed. So the risk to reward involved is absolutely horrendous. Avoid pump and dump emails. Do not get involved in them. Do not trade a pump and dump email. And really, let's just focus on good technical setups. We want to focus on stocks that have a long history of trading, that have good volume. Lately, we've been looking for at least 750,000 shares in volume, and that's for stocks that are generally in the $4 to $10 range. Okay, so much more dollar volume involved. And we look for good technical setups. We don't rely on these, sub-penny stocks where, you could see a nice massive move if this moved from 3 to 6. But you could also see a terrible loss if this moved from 3 to 1, which the majority of time with sub-pennies it's going to do because they are crappy companies, if we're being honest. So that's really what I wanted to get across in this email. I apologize if I came across a little maybe angry or whatever it is, but it's a big deal to me. I've been there. I've lost thousands of dollars when I first started trading with pump and dump emails. If we're being frank, I would, as I just said, tell you never trade them. Just unsubscribe from the emails if you're receiving them. Don't even be tempted to bother with these specific stocks. They're just promoted by companies that have been paid money to promote these stocks, and they could care less whether or not you make money trading them. So that is my little rant on pump and dump emails. Again, always remember, check the technicals. That includes the volume. How well is the volume? Trade reputable, higher priced stocks. Don't go down to these sub-penny stocks. Let's get, a little higher priced, good technical setup, and always check their email disclaimer to see how much these individuals have been paid to try to trick you into buying a really crappy company. So that's my rant. Apologize if it seemed a little blunt to some of you, but sometimes that's what we need. We need to be told, frankly, the truth about a lot of these, I guess they could be dark secrets into trading, whatever it may be, but we need to be bluntly told that a lot of this stuff is really bullcrap and they're really taking advantage of us. So again, if you have any questions at all about pump and dump emails or anything else trading related, shoot me an email, tannerstrading@gmail.com, and have a great night.